Why are you so unkind to me? My body cries. Because you don't look like them, I tell her. And that's Rupi Kaur.
Everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to Not in Our Will. I'm Danny.
And I'm Steph.
And we're two women in our 30s now. Trials and tribulations of life.
Raw, real, ready to talk.
Today we're talking about body image.
This is going to be a deep one, guys.
A deep one and probably a long one.
Yeah, so
we touched a bit about it last week when we were talking about summer and getting to the beach bod and all that stuff. But we're going to dive into the history of body image, the future of body image, and what is it?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. Who's she? Who are you?
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
All right, so I guess we'll just dive into it. You know, it's one of those topics that you just kind of gotta
get her in,
get into her,
get into
her. So to start, I figured we'd just go throughout the body image,
the history of it
throughout the years, right? And this is taken from a woman's perspective or women's body throughout the years. So this doesn't necessarily correlate to men's bodies or LGBTQ plus or anything like that. This is just facts of what the ideal body shape was for women throughout history. So prehistory to 1990s had a focus on full figure silhouettes. So the earliest known representations of women's bodies are the Venus figurines, they're called.
Yep.
And they were small statues from the 23 to 25,000 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they are literally historical artifacts that have been made of a woman's body.
And they were nice, voluptuous.
They were pear-shaped with large breasts. But they had gut. They had
rolls.
Rolls. They were average, right? And in Greece, for instance, Aphrodite, the goddess of sexual love and beauty, was portrayed with curves, right? So that was many years ago. So way back, we were doing the right thing. Women with full figures were looked at as goddesses and appreciated. And back in the day too, you got to think you had to hunt and gather, and the women who had weight were seen as good baby bearing
and also
and healthy.
Yes, because you're being fed and you've well provided for.
Exactly. So this continued throughout artist depictions all the way through to the 17th and 18th century, until corsets were, brought to life. And that was in late Renaissance to the 20th century. So it, sucked in your waist, and it, voluptuated the breasts and the hips and all that shit, right?
Gave you the hourglass
figure. So that was huge in the late Renaissance era. And then in the 20th century, we had a very defined shift to a young / very slender build. Yeah. So that was we had a big shift into the 20th century. In the 1920s and 50s, there was the rise of the flappers. Yes.
Which were they're very boxy.
They're very
straight.
Boxy, very slim, so slender bodies. And they appeared in magazines because that's when magazines and everything were happening. Yeah. It was a big deal. And then the epidemic of eating disorders actually started to occur during that time frame. And in the 1920s and then again in the 1980s were the two periods which the ideal woman was the thinnest in history.
1920s
and then the 1980s.
That's very surprising to me, actually. Well, before reading this, what would you have said?
I definitely would have said the 80s for sure, and then early 2000s. But I didn't look back long enough in history, right? Because you got to think the flappers. Yeah, they were tiny little petite little things, right? So it makes sense. And then anorexia nervosa was actually associated with the highest rate of mortality among all mental disorders during the 90s.
Wow. See, that's what, I would have said the 90s would have been my guess of the thinnest time period.
Yeah, so that's when all of these eating disorders kind of started to make their way.
I think because the internet there's just, we're starting to get bombarded more by social media, right?
Exactly. So then in the 2000s, because of everything that has happened years prior, nearly 1/3 of children aged 5 to 6, if they were to select an ideal body image, they would choose a size thinner than of that of their own.
Oh, 100%.
And by age 7, 1 in 4 children engage in some sort of dieting behavior. By age 7.
Yeah.
Right? So the kids are learning this at a very, very young age. And now in, 2010s and onwards, we're starting to embrace diversity in all body types, and that's amongst all media and fashion outlets. So that's
it's a slow rise. There's still some companies that don't follow that and don't care to diversify their brand.
Of course.
I think over time, I'd like to say that, people won't be so loyal, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, there's always haters for fucking everything, right? Back in the 90s, you didn't see any sort of plus figured model, male or woman or LGBTQ plus in any sense.
I remember when, the people that media would depict as being bigger,
no, they were sticks.
They were
motherfucking sticks.
I would have killed to look like that,
which is a part of the problem, my friends. All throughout history, we've been told what we should look like and what portrays beautiful and beauty, right? What is beauty? But along with that, if you don't look like that, or if you have body dysmorphia or whatever it may be, all of that poor body image has been linked to so low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, which then leads to a serious development of an eating disorder, right? So it's pretty scary, and it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucked up how the media kind of portrays our view of shit.
There are, from what I was, that there's 6 main. So you already touched upon anorexia. So in case you're not aware of what that is, it's basically not eating anything.
Yeah, you don't eat. You can't find. Yeah. You just think you're too fat and you make yourself go hungry.
The second would be bulimia. So that's you would eat, but you're going to throw it up.
Vomit it all up, yeah.
Third is binge eating. So you'll maybe fast or, not so much and then go freaking wild.
Binge eating is huge, I feel, for our generation, because growing up, we had mothers who grew up throughout the 80s when they were our age, and they went through so many diet fads that having junk food in the house wasn't a fucking thing. Yeah. Right? So if you went to a sleepover at a friend's house who had junk food, you were like, fuck yeah, I don't get this in my house. I'm just going to
That's a good point.
Mow it down. Yep. Right? And now, being of age and being of an adult, it's the same way. You didn't get that proper knowledge to have that food in your house and not completely eat it all or not touch it at all.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like a fine line.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. This one, I know it's an eating disorder. I didn't think it would be listed as a top, one of the 6 norms. But it's, I believe it's called pica, which is an eating disorder involves when you're eating things that are not considered food. Dirt, soil,
oh my God,
chalk,
my strange
addiction. But it's a disorder, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, anybody on that show is honest. It's a disorder. Rumination disorder. So this one is newly recognized. So this describes a condition in which a person regurgitates food that they've already chewed and swallowed. Re-chews it, and then either re-swallows it or spits it out. So you're basically re-eating the same food.
So you're not eating anything new.
You're not eating anything new.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this was completely new to me when I read it. Yeah, I didn't know that was...
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. The last one is avoidant or restrictive food intake disorder. So it's a new name for an old disorder. The term replaced this term has replaced feeding disorder of infancy and early childhood. Interesting. This is reserved for children under age 7. So individuals with this disorder experience disturbed eating due to either a lack of interest in eating or a distaste of certain smells, tastes, colors, textures, temperatures.
So like picky people.
And then, like most things, there's a spectrum. You can be a picky eater.
Yeah, but if you're like, no, I don't want that. I only literally want potatoes.
There's also, it listed purging as another one, which is...
eat a shit ton and then you throw it all up.
Vomit, laxatives, excessive exercising, or you're just individuals purging. So that's what they discusses. But they say, however, they do not binge in purging.
Oh.
So purging disorder, individuals with purging disorder often use purging behaviors such as vomiting, laxatives, diuretics, or excessive exercising.
I don't want anything sitting in their stomach.
Yeah. Night eating syndrome. Individuals with this syndrome frequently eat excessively at night, often after awakening from sleep. I was like, I'm like, as I read this, I'm like,
that's me.
I'm like, I got all of these. Another one is other specified feeding or eating disorders. While it's called OSFED. While it's not found in the DSM-5, which if you don't know what that is, it's like the holy grail of mental disorders. This category includes any other conditions that have symptoms similar to those of an eating disorder, but don't fit any of the disorders above.
Right. Because, I feel like it's so vague. You could have bits of each type of eating disorder.
It's the thing. It's a spectrum.
Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's exactly like any sort of other mental disorder.
Yeah. 100%.
There's so many different spectrums of it, right?
Yeah.
And you can go through phases, and it's just, it's nuts.
There's... another this was something else we wanted to talk about, which was body dysmorphic.
Yes, body disorder. Yeah.
So this is body dysmorphic disorder. So it's a mental health condition in which you can't stop thinking about one or more perceived defects or flaws in your appearance. A flaw that appears minor or can't be seen to others most of the time, but you feel so embarrassed, ashamed, or anxious that it could lead you to avoiding certain situations. Or I was reading every time you pass a mirror, you're checking. You care very much about your appearance, or sometimes you care not about your appearance because it's to avoid it. Scales, stuff like that. So, I thought that was worth the mention because it's...
Yeah, body dysmorphia is a real fucking thing. Yeah.
About 2.4% of adults in the U.S., I'm sorry, it's from the U.S., have body dysmorphic disorder. 2.4% of adults.
I feel like that's higher.
I also would feel that to be much higher.
I feel like, for me personally, I definitely have
2.5% amongst women, 2.2% amongst men.
Interesting. So it's almost the same amount.
That is really interesting.
It's funny, when I was writing up all these statistics, and I wanted to try and get from a male's perspective, but we're not males, or we're not LGBTQ, whatever it may be, trans. We're not of that. We're she and her. But I was like, to my boyfriend, I'm like, did you ever deal with this? Was this can you tell me your experience as a male with body image? And he was like, I never had any issues.
So it's funny you say that. So if you don't know by now, Stephanie's dating our friend Tristan, the gentleman who came. I gave him way too much credit.
Way too much credit.
The man child that came on for the dating episode in February that we did. So he's been a friend of mine since grade 9. So that's 16 years now. I remember, so in high school, he was super, super skinny.
Yeah.
Always had abs. He was playing sports all the time, blah, blah, blah.
Very athletic.
Very athletic. And me, I've always been a chunky girl. So, and my friends never said anything. I've always appreciated that about my friends. But he moved away to Edmonton for a little while. He came back. I was going to pick him up after he came back. And I remember him calling me being like, listen, I just need to tell you something. I'm like, okay. I'm fat now. I'm like, what?
Oh my God.
He's like, I just needed to tell you before you saw me.
Like a shock.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm fat now. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, it happens. No, but it's funny. And I was like, maybe you're not being honest with me about it, but like, maybe he just didn't feel the pressures, or like
maybe he didn't. Care. Yeah, I don't think he seems like the type that wouldn't care. No, but then on the other hand, I feel like you and I also might seem like the type that wouldn't care, but we very much care.
Yes, and I feel like that's a woman characteristic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's a.
My ex, he's the type of person that does not give a shit. Like he's a, fly by the seat of your, I don't know what the thing is.
Well said.
Sure. Yeah. But I remember, like, usually in a relationship, you gain weight, you lose weight.
That's actually a thing.
Yeah, you gain weight.
If you're in a happy relationship, you gain weight. Relationship weight is actually, they've done studies on it. It's a thing. So that's why I've gained like 5 pounds, everybody.
She's happy.
But still, yeah, it's a thing.
But I remember him, like, he's one of the guys that can eat like Wendy's 4 times a week and just.
I wish that was my life.
I know, so do I. Although I don't, because I would get into the habit of eating Wendy's
all the time. Which, not great for you.
But like he got delicious. A teeny tiny little chunky belly, and to me as a big girl, I'm like, yes. I'm like, I love it. Yeah. But he was very self-conscious of it. Super self-conscious of it. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oopsies, excuse me.
So like,
hi Connor, you just texted me.
Hi Connor. So yeah, there are different signs of eating disorders that you can kind of look out for with yourself, and I guess with people, your loved ones around you.
I think it's important to state we are not doctors.
No,
the internet is not a doctor.
It's true.
If you're concerned or it's bothering you or you just have questions, go to an actual doctor, please.
And later on in the episode, I'm going to touch on certain outlets that you can reach out to if you're going through this, or if somebody that is going through this, because it's very important, and this is a very serious, scary thing. So there's some signs that you can like look out for. So extreme weight loss or gain, of course, a thin appearance, abnormal blood counts, fatigue, insomnia, dizziness and fainting, hair that thins, breaks, or falls out, dry yellowish skin, dehydration, preoccupation with food, exercising excessively, binging, not eating in public, and reduced interest in sex, and the list goes on. So you got to think, right? Like the food is it's literally fueling you. So if you don't have that fuel, everything in your body will eventually slow down and break down slowly. It may take some time.
It's trying to find something to eat and to fuel it, so it will start gnawing at the good things that are in your body, like your muscles.
Your muscles, your liver, your hair, your fingernails, like everything. Like you could tell, it's super sad. But so, Danny, what was your relationship with food and your body image growing up? Like, I mean,
awful.
Yeah, same. So we had mothers that grew up in the 80s, and they were mothers in the early 90s, right? And your mother was a mother in the 80s as well.
My mother was a mother in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Jesus.
She loves that. So, yeah. So she had a baby in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But my mom has always struggled with her. Well, she was a skinny, mini woman, but never had confidence. Right. So even when she was pin thin, she
still, that's body dysmorphia, right?
I know.
She still didn't,
And I love my mother, but she definitely put that on me for sure. Not intentional or whatever, but many things that I can look back on. I'm like, you helped sway my brain a little fucked up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of the same way, like my mother would do diets and would just say little comments here and there that maybe her mother had said to her, so it's being passed down like generation to generation. Women were always told, like, you need to be thin, you need to be eating this, why are you eating a chocolate bar, you shouldn't be doing this, blah blah blah. I mean, mind you, my mom allowed me to have like sweets and certain snacks in moderation, But then that would come with a backhanded comment like, you shouldn't. Why
are you eating that?
Are you sure you want that?
Yeah. My parents being immigrants, my dad is very specific with food. He did not allow us to have KD or pizza or we weren't allowed anything. So it became a secret between my mom and I. So we would always sneak it every so often. My mom, I know she would have things hidden in certain places.
Right.
I remember that she would try to lose weight all the time, and you know, she's not a small girl. Neither am I, but we did Weight Watchers together, and I was like, I don't even think I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I don't even think I was in high school. Maybe.
And it's almost like she maybe needed a friend to do it with.
I'm gonna be honest. I think it's because I was a chunky child, and she wanted me to lose weight.
Isn't that so fucked up though? Like, and it's not even your mom's parenting style or anything like that, because she didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Because at that time in the 80s and 90s, that's when diets were huge, and that's when the diet fad was massive. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, that's when it came out that all of those diets were actually not good for you.
Yeah. But to this day, there's still diets that they're saying, like the keto. Yeah.
Come on, if you're doing keto, like...
I don't understand how you could think just shoving butter down your throat.
Rapidly lose weight.
Yeah.
And then once you stop keto, it's not like a lifestyle, right? Like you gain it back within weeks.
Yeah.
Months, right?
Well, keto is one of those ones that you just don't...
It's no carbs, no sugar.
You lose all the good stuff.
Yeah. So but you're eating meat, you're eating salt, lots and lots of salt.
Meat, salt, and dairy is fine, and they want you to eat fat.
Yeah.
They want fats because you're supposed to, I don't know, like you're giving yourself so much fat that it's like eating the
your
fat.
Body,
like something.
That's why it's called keto. I think your body is going in some sort of ketosis, right?
Yeah.
But come on, like, fuck.
Yeah, it's not a... I have to admit that there was a period of time where I highly looked into it, but it was after I kind of fell into accidentally doing it.
Right.
Where I took out all of the carbs and stuff, because I've been doing that for so long.
That was like me too when I thought I was celiac, because my whole family is celiac, right? So I was like, I'm not going to eat any gluten.
Yeah.
I lost a shit ton of weight.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and I had the blood test and everything, like a year or so later, after I had not been eating gluten for like 2 years. So I started eating it again. I gained so much weight back.
Oh, I bet. But
I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I like bread. I like pasta. I like cinnamon buns. And if I'm allowed to eat it, and if my body is okay with it, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna fucking eat it.
Well, this is the attitude we need to start adapting. I mean, it's easier said than done, because genuinely, like, to this, like, I just realized in my 30s that I've had eating disorders and continuously have eating disorders and body dysmorphia.
Yeah, it's something that we continuously have to work on every 100%. Single day. Yeah.
Like I in 6 months I lost 45 pounds. I look at myself, I still look and
I know you do.
Think I'm fat as fuck.
I know you do.
But it's this weird thing, because in my brain I'm like, Danny, like your clothes fit differently, the scale is different. People have said it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, it's all in your
I know,
mind.
it's ingrained in there, so it's awful.
It's awful. And I was the same way too. When I was at my lowest weight that I have been in my adult life, which was like 2.5 something years ago, it was the same way though.
Yeah.
And you're almost more preoccupied with it in your brain when you are at that point.
Yeah.
In your weight loss journey, right?
Yeah.
Like when you are there, you are more preoccupied with it, and you're like, I still feel the exact same way. I'm not skinny. I need to get more skinny. I need to blah,
another
blah, blah.
Another thing is, like, women's bodies are so hard. They're much harder. It's scientific fact that it's harder for women to lose weight. We have to put more effort into it and continuous effort in order for us to maintain that weight.
Because it's a fucking yo-yo, man.
It is. I mean, our hormones are going up and down constantly, and that increases our bloating and amongst other things. But you see the bloating. You don't necessarily think bloating. Like, I just think like chunky in the mirror. Like, you know what I mean? And it's this weird circle that just keeps everyone.
Literally, girlfriend, it's the same thing with me. I like, if for me, for instance, with my body image, if I am going to go out for a nice dinner, if I have something planned, like a birthday party, hanging out with all our friends, whatever, I will consciously like not eat, because as soon as I eat, I get fucking bloated and my outfit looks different on me. Which is fucked. I mean, a massive contributing factor is my endo, but at the same time, it's like you put the one pair of jeans on that you're gonna wear that fit you, you know, majority of the time. You eat one meal and then all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck is that?
Well, again, bullshit. Like, so like I you know, again, I lost the weight in 6 months, but since November, I have not. Since November, I have not. The scale hasn't changed.
You're like
since November. And you know, I mentioned it to my friend Alex. She's like, "Well, you still look different than you did in November." Which to me, because the scale hasn't changed, even though I know muscle weighs more, and I know that I've been working out, and I know like there's some muscle, there's some muscles there. And like things are still fitting differently. It is like I weigh myself every time I walk into the bathroom.
You know what's funny? How, like, you have the scale, you weigh yourself all the time, blah, blah, blah. I literally, even when I was conscious about what I was eating and blah, 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 I still am. I've never owned a scale.
Yeah.
I made that conscious decision when I moved out of my parents' house that I was like, you know what? No, not doing it. I'm just going to fucking...
It's smarter that way.
Because I feel like I would be the same like you. I would be obsessed with it.
Constantly watching it.
And like you have a scale, so whenever I go into your bathroom upstairs, I'll step on the scale. Yeah. My grandparents have a scale. Every time I go in there, I step on it. And it's funny because I see my grandparents, you know, once every couple months and whatever. Sometimes I don't step on, sometimes I do. Last time I weighed myself, I was like, you know, 20 pounds lighter. Went in 20 pounds heavier. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, what and the hell? Those...
It's a mind game. It's
totally a mind game.
But for me, because I'm making the conscious effort to be aware of my flaws and my disorders.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm being self-aware, knowing what's happening, and trying to avoid it, or trying to own up to it with my friends. So I will message Stephanie and Alex and tell them, okay, I didn't eat today. Like I need, and then they yell at me.
Yeah,
you know, because my body and it's funny, I've had these conversations with Alex, and her body is definitely not like mine. I would assume not like either of ours, because she, like I've said to her, and I've told you guys, like I will go away for a weekend and I will gain 5 to 7 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah.
And she's like, she's like, I don't believe that. And I'm like, I watch it. You know how often I'm watching? I know my body just gained this much weight. And those are so hard. So it's weeks like that, which I just had one of those where I gained literally 7 pounds over a weekend. I ate one meal every day for that week. Even though I knew, no, it's not okay. And I knew it was not okay. I said it early in the week that I was doing that, and I still kept doing it. And every morning I woke up like, no, I'm gonna make myself breakfast. But I just got later in the day, and I just didn't do it. It didn't become a priority. And I find though, when I'm eating properly, and this is my thing, like I'm trying really hard to educate myself. And like I said, I didn't realize until I was in my 30s that this shit is in my brain. Like, I didn't click yet. Like, I just like, oh, it's, you know, whatever. It's normal. Yeah. But it's not normal. Well, it's normal, but it's not okay, I guess you could say. Yeah. But I'm really trying to educate myself. So my trainer at the gym, he, I think, has a degree in nutrition and stuff like that. And he has helped me immensely. And he also will check in on me, be like, did you eat today? Because I've been very honest with my issues. And he'll be like, did you eat today? And I'm like, yeah or no. And he's like, you got to go home. You got to go eat. You got to do this. And he's also keeping me in check. So I think important thing is be honest with people you trust, and
absolutely,
and have them help you check in with yourself. Because it's important to educate yourself. There's a lot of really powerful things that you can learn about food, like really powerful things. I've said this, I think, in the podcast before. Learn your blood type so you can learn what food works best for your body. I find that on weeks that I'm eating consistently, I'm losing more weight because my body has fuel to fight off. And then I'm just working out and doing all this stuff. Yeah. So it's this weird game. You think that food's the enemy, but it's not.
It's not. It's literally your fuel.
We need it. And water.
Water. Yeah. Fucking drink your water.
I'm still so bad with that, but
literally drink your water. And you know what? It's super crazy how social media has played such a role. But now, with social media being such a big thing in the 20th century, with things like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, it's becoming more positive than what it was without those outlets, right? So we had magazines, we had TV shows, we had commercials, we had things that were being force-fed into us. Yeah. This is what you should look like. This is what you should look like. This is the ideal.
Whoa.
Crazy.
Wow.
But now we have the voice with the social media that we have now to be like, fuck no.
Because there's now we can post for ourselves.
Yeah.
And everybody can just vouch for their own bodies and be like, what is... So you're telling me what's wrong with this? Like, this is what I'm born with.
Exactly. And back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have that. We would just have to be like, okay.
Here's your billboard. Here's your this. Here's your that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, fine. Like, this is what we're supposed to look like, I guess. We don't have anything else to say or do. Like, this is being fucking forced to us. Yeah. Which brings us to like the body positivity movement, which is huge. And it didn't even start in like the 2000s or anything like that. It started in 1850 to the 1890s.
Which that surprises me.
Yeah. So it was the Victorian dress reform movement. So it aimed to put an end to the trend of having women have to modify their bodies by corsets to fit certain outfits.
That makes sense now.
So women were getting fed up with it. Like, I don't want to be super uncomfortable all the fucking time. I don't know if anybody's ever worn a tight ass corset in their life or a dress that ties up like that. I have. It's not fucking fun. Yeah. It sucks ass. You cannot sit down. You can't eat one piece of food. Yeah. It literally sucks.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. And then now, unfortunately, kind of swinging it back to our day and age, we have unfortunate social media influencers and famous people like Kim Kardashian, who literally just walked the Met Gala and glorified the fact that she had to lose, I think it was 15 to 18 pounds to fit in Marilyn Monroe's dress.
And she didn't even fit into it.
She didn't. They had to like... on the butt.
She wore her coat to cover it. Beyond the fact that she shouldn't have worn that dress, that really bugs me.
Disgusting, makes me sick. Get your sick ass body out of that. I'm sorry, it makes me so mad.
It just makes me mad because that dress was specifically made for her. It shouldn't have been
made for
It shouldn't have been touched or and I mean, it didn't even fit her. So what was the point? Yeah, she looked beautiful, but they could have made a replica.
Yeah, and she glorified the fact. She's like, yeah, I had to like not eat. Yeah, like I didn't eat carbs, I didn't eat sugar, I didn't eat anything.
The thing with these celebrities is that people, but like a lot of the times they're not owning up to things. Like they don't own up to the butt implants, the cheek implants, the lip implants, that we're just constantly like looking at fake and thinking that it's okay.
And we think it's real. And people think that's pretty.
Yeah.
Fake is not fucking pretty.
I mean, you do you, but just own up to your shit. Like that's what I think is important, is that like I remember seeing a tweet or something that this girl, you know, I don't know, probably some sort of influencer or whatever, she woke up from bed and she looked beautiful, you know, just, you know, posted a picture. And somebody commented like, "Oh, I wish that I looked like that when she woke up." she wrote back, she's like, I don't look like this when I woke up. This is fake extensions. I have lip filler in. The sun is hitting the right, like, and just went off saying like, this is not.
And yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And for my Instagram page, my personal Instagram page, my caption is enjoy the exaggeration of my life in photos, or don't, whatever suits ya. And I think that's totally it. It's an exaggeration of who you are perceiving yourself to be to this world.
It's the best parts of it.
It's the best part of you. It's your best angle. It's your best, you suck
moments.
in, you have your pretty outfit on, you have this, you have that. You're not going to take a picture when you're sitting at home, you have no makeup on, or when you're depressed, or when you're in a state of not feeling good. Yeah. Right? So, and then all of these people are seeing only your best. So if they can't even feel like they reach that when they try their best,
it's people. I mean, this is the thing. So one, I think, like we mentioned, people are starting to be more honestly accepting and loving of themselves, which I think is awesome.
Yes, huge.
And I love it. I wish I could do that, but I'm trying, right?
Hey,
We're trying.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah, I mean, but this is it's a really fucked up world that we live in, and we're constantly being bombarded by all these beauty quote unquote norms, but what is the norm? Like, there's nothing. Like, what?
And honestly, is that person really beautiful? Like, to me, beauty isn't what you fucking look like. If I was to sit down and have a conversation with Kim Kardashian, say if all of a sudden you disappeared and Kim Kardashian fucking popped up in front of me, you really think
we'd have more views?
We'd have more views, but like, whatever, you really think I'd be able to make a connection with her like I've made with you?
Yeah,
right.
I know. I mean, I know, but it's hard because then you got to be like, there's some people that are celebrities. I'm like, damn, I would be best friends with you.
Some people, but it's also the persona that they create.
I know,
right?
Well,
you never
Seth
know.
Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Hey, if you want to sponsor us, what up, boy?
Talk poetry.
We could.
No, pottery. I meant to say pottery.
And weed.
Weed, definitely.
So back to the body positivity movement. So after that whole corset thing, they had a thing called the first wave. It's the actual first wave of the body positivity movement. So everything before that was just like little hits here and there. So like the corset thing was like ooh, we're gonna try this because fuck your system. So the first wave happened in the 1960s. It was the fat acceptance movement. So a New York radio host called Steve Post held a fat in, so it's in quotations, fat in Central Park in 1967. So it was described to be the movement to protest discrimination against fat, like fat people and anything to do with fat.
Yeah.
So that was like the first wave. The second wave happened in the 1990s. So programs were made specifically for overweight people. There was like a program called Making Waves, it was called. So it was for people who didn't feel comfortable joining a wellness community or a gym. So it was like at home stuff that you could do, a community where you didn't have to be out in the public eye, in the gym if you didn't feel comfortable enough. And then within that second wave, the dangers of dieting also became apparent in the 90s. So all the fucking crazy diets they had. Yeah. And then the third wave was in the 2010s. So the social media culture, which was kind of what we were talking about, right? So Instagram, Facebook, etc. So we have people who literally are paving the way and have paved the way massively with social media, such as Tess Holiday. I don't know if you know of Tess Holiday.
I don't know who Tess Holiday is.
So she is a model. She's a plus size model. And she founded this group called F Your Beauty Standards. So it's like an Instagram group. She sells products. She sells like just literally living your own life. She's gorgeous. A gorgeous, gorgeous woman. But she basically was like, fuck this. Fuck the system. I'm going to be a model. And when she wanted to be a model, there was no plus size models. And she was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Like, I'm gorgeous, which she absolutely is gorgeous. And she got a modeling deal.
Good.
And now this whole F Your Beauty standards is a massive thing. She's a model. She's been in so many different things. I think she was on the cover of like Vogue and like insane things, right?
Yeah.
So she's actually really making a difference. And then you got to think of fucking Lizzo, for instance.
Yeah.
A musical artist who is literally like same thing as Tess Holiday. Fuck your shit.
Stick 30. I love that as my favorite thing.
Right? And she's like, I don't care. I'm gorgeous. She goes on Instagram. She shows her body. She's like, all these skinny bitches like Kim Kardashian, whatever, they can show their body in a bikini. Why can't I?
Yeah. You know what I've been thinking as you've been speaking is, I find it odd that, you know, sometimes people would make like fat people a fetish in a way.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a human. Like, why are you fetishizing their size? I don't know.
And do people fetishize really, really skinny people? Like,
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
Maybe. Well, there's this YouTuber that I specifically know of. I've never watched a video, but her name is Eugenia Cooney, I believe. And she has severe anorexia. Like, and so she posts, and people just see her very severe anorexia. And I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of talking out of blindly because I'm not exactly sure if she's getting help. I know she was at some point and got much better, and now it's kind of just reverted back. But then there comes to a question like, there comes a question where you're like, is that okay? Like, is that okay? Because there can be people that will toss the coin being like, well, if
you're fetishizing obese people, why can't you fetishize? Yes.
Or if Lizzo or anybody else, I'm just thought of Lizzo because we just said it, if she's able to show her body, be beautiful and be whatever, why can't the anorexic show and be fine? So there's this really fine line, because what I see in Eugenia is a disorder that's eating her.
Illness.
What I see in Lizzo is, I know she's active. She fucking is
she works out all the time.
She works out all the time. She's literally a musician. Do you know how hard
she dances on stage?
Yeah.
Like,
so
crazy,
you know that she's doing something for her body, but she's a big woman.
Yeah.
So is there a right and wrong? Like,
then you have to think of the other side of the coin in terms of what, like, people who are bigger, like my 800-pound life or whatever.
Yeah.
Those people are literally just sitting on the couch eating themselves to death.
Yep.
Right? Like, it's a mental disorder. So who's to say what's right or what's wrong? And I think we need to get to the point where
mind your business.
Mind your own fucking business. If you decide to live your life like that, yes, it's not okay if you have an eating disorder, binging, purging, anorexia, whatever it may be, on both sides of the spectrum. It's not okay. But talk about it.
Yeah. And
be a little bit more accepting of people, regardless of their fucking size.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Be more accepting of yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think the thing is people need to stop caring, about other, like, not stop caring about other people, because obviously you need to care about people, but I think
what other people think of
yes,
you.
That's exactly it. You need to just kind of, if you're happy doing what you're doing, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck? Which is a lot easier said than done.
Of course.
Because we've been told now, and we're being conditioned now to have everything on social media, right? Even back in the day when we were like fucking 15, it was still like, well, image, right? My body image. This is how I'm, But fuck, I don't know, man.
I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to find a way to kind of just love yourself. If any of the disorders that we spoke about seem to have hit some sort of nerve or something in yourself, you're like, honestly, educate yourself. See what you can do. See how you can help yourself. It's always going to be somewhat of a battle, like any sort of addiction, like any sort of mental illness. It doesn't go away overnight. It's not that easy.
Exactly.
Food can be a really beautiful thing. You know, it doesn't need to be boring. It can be really exciting and still be really good for you.
Absolutely.
Exercise does not need to be as intense as you think. Go for a walk.
A walk outside, guys. You know, nature is beautiful. Get your, like, literally go out in nature.
It's the thing.
Thank yourself.
The thing I've learned the most in this specific weight loss journey, which trust me, there's been many in my 30 years, is I took my time. I made it become daily life stuff rather than binging, or, you know, rather than focusing so intently on the food and focusing so intently on the workout. Yeah, I do go to the gym twice a week, but it's because I fucking love doing the Muay Thai. I love it. I do not feel forced at all. There are times where I do need to push myself, but that's me taking accountability for myself and my own goals. Yeah. Nobody's telling me that. I actually have people telling me, my mom's like, yeah, okay, you can stop now. I'm like, but it's not about that. I'm not trying to be anorexic. I'm trying to find
a healthy balance.
And I'm trying to find the love for myself.
Yes.
Because again, even at 45, 50 pounds, wherever I'm at now, that's still not there. I still look in the mirror and I honestly think, so I'm trying.
So that comes from other things, right?
Comes from other things,
and you can't, like, you have to figure out that journey by yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's your own self-love and your own body image that you have to correct, and you have to not necessarily correct, but be happy with.
I think in most things in life, you need to just be easier on yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a big deal if I gain 7 pounds over a weekend.
It's absolute. Did you enjoy good food? Did you have a fun time?
Well, to be fair, my stomach really hurt.
Ooh, well, that sucks.
Let me also say this. This is something to do with just eating, and I just want to say this, and I think we'll wrap it up for today. When you are working on this journey of trying to get, find a good place with food, you're goodest, because a lot of times people have stomach like gut rot, or think they have like fucking where you shit all the time, irritable bowel syndrome. And when I first started looking into food, I mentioned to my friend who helped me that I have stomach aches constantly, all day, every day, sometimes woken up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I have irritable bowel syndrome. He's like, let's just wait. I changed my diet. I focused on what was making me feel good and better. I haven't had a stomach ache in fucking months. In months. So not only am, like, for that reason alone, just working on my food and my appreciation of food has been just a godsend.
Absolutely. And it's funny too, because even though, like, when I did cut out gluten and stuff, I was the same way. I had dealt with stomach issues for years. So it's almost like your body, even though I got the blood test, even though it was like, you're not celiac, you're not this, I could still have an intolerance to it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you just need to, like, trial and error, or don't, fuck whatever,
do it or don't. We don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just, like, love yourself, man. If you want to eat the fucking pizza, eat the pizza. If you don't want to eat the pizza, don't eat the pizza. We're not telling you what to do. We're just
telling you what to do.
Oh, so our music artist for today is Mother. They're a Canadian indie rock band from Quadra Island, BC. So I chose Mother for one, because I fucking love them. And for two, because the lead singer Ryan has had eating disorders, and he's been trying to overcome them for many, many, many years. If you follow them on Twitter or Instagram or whatever it may be, they're very public about that. Just recently, he posted something on Twitter about, his eating disorders and how he's trying to get back to loving him and like food is fuel and that kind of stance, right? And a lot of their lyrics and a lot of their backstory has to do with body image and eating disorders and, you know, all that stuff. And even if you were to go to their website, which I did, they actually have resources. So if you go to mothermothersite.com, their resources that they have National Eating Disorder Awareness. So you can click on that if you have any issues or if you're, you know, you feel like you're going through something and, you know, you need to talk to somebody. They have the Trevor Project, which is an LGBTQ plus movement and, you know, really helping in that sense. They have the Suicide Prevention Lifeline and they also have Kids Help Phone. So they're a band that is very woke, I would say.
Advocate.
They're advocates for loving yourself, and it just made sense to choose them. So please check them out and give them a follow and a like because, yeah, they're great.
And I mean, while you're at it, don't forget to follow and like us.
Yeah, fuck. I mean,
comment on our stuff. Like, we really genuinely love interacting. It really excites us to see comments. And like, y'all, if you're texting us about the episode, just post it so that we so that we can have maybe open discussions with other people as well. And like people comment and it can become more. This is the point. Like,
yeah, we're talking about things that we think should be talked about, and we know that you want to talk about them too. I know it's hard,
but do it.
Do it. That's what she said. I know it's hard.
Do it.
But anyways, on that fucking note, let's boogie.
Catch you on the flip side.